Let's spend
It's
a minute on Zohran
sure.
Mamdani, who's likely to be the next mayor of New York, and how this affects. I'm interested in the politics of it. I am, but I'm really more interested in just the utter failure that's coming our way in Manhattan, because this is a defund the police guy, and he has the nerve. He has the nerve yesterday to start tweeting. I think it would have been better if he didn't. He's trying to look like he cares about the cops. First, he tweeted, "Oh, I'm so sorry, he's in critical condition," because there were reports early on that the cop was. And then when he learned that he had died, he sent out, the appropriate "I'm very sorry, he was a hero" kind of tweet. This guy, Zohran Mamdani, if he's elected, will get cops and other New York civilians killed with his policies. He wants to defund. When challenged by somebody who said, "Oh, wait, when we say defund, we don't really mean defund. We mean like reallocate." And he said, "No, we mean defund. The police are racist, anti-queer, and endanger Americans." And so now he tried to soften it when he was running for the actual mayoral nomination, because he was running against people who were not for defunding the cops. But this guy is still saying he wants domestic violence victims to be treated with social workers showing up and not cops and so on. I'm incensed by it. I do not believe him that his heart is totally in the right place when it comes to our New York City cops. I believed him the first time that he thinks they're racist and ought to be defunded. So what's coming our way in New York if this guy wins, as he's overwhelmingly likely to do?
What's coming your way is people like my family who still live in Manhattan, at least half of my family, my immediate family does, are thinking about moving, which even didn't happen during COVID, or at least, I mean, I moved because of COVID, but my mom, dad, and my sister decided that they were going to stick it out in New York City, but they're not sure they can stick out a Mamdani administration. It's troubling because when you look at the numbers, people, and this is a frustration for me, Megyn, people will say, well, New York is getting what it deserves, or New York is getting what it wants. And it's actually a very small percentage of the 8.5 million residents of New York who want this guy to be mayor, to be clear. It's
That's right.
Depending on, and I know we haven't had the general election and maybe he won't win, but even just based on what just happened in this primary, you're gonna end up having like 20% or 15% of New Yorkers actually end up voting for this guy. Maybe it's going to be a very small. Now you can blame people who don't get off their butts and get up and vote, in the sense that they should have their voices heard here and not vote for this guy. But the disaster that is the Mamdani administration, I think, is unfortunately going to result in not only a lot of really good people fleeing the city, but a lot of people who stay behind suffering. When you pointed out what happened on the crime front, and one of the things that I find most frustrating about his philosophy, if you can call it that, or his communism, is he is appealing to people mostly on the New York is really expensive line, right? That's the cop stuff. Yeah, he's anti-cop, and there's a maybe a 10 to 15% of the New York City electorate that are far left Democrats that like that anti-cop stuff. But really, he's appealing to people on the New York is so expensive, you can't afford the rent. I'm going to make it cheaper for you. And what's so maddening about this is that the approach that someone like a Mamdani takes is only going to make it worse. And every time this has been shown anywhere, I mean, you pick the case, you show me the case study when somebody comes in and decides to play God in the market, right? They decide what supply and demand really is. They decide what the price should be. Price controls. Price controls is why Venezuela went from one of the richest countries in the Western Hemisphere to a impoverished hellhole with a level 4 advisory from the State Department telling Americans not to go. That only took about 20 years for that to happen, but price controls were a big part of that. The idea that Mamdani is going to come in and have have all this housing built for people. First of all, is it going to be housing anybody's going to want to live in? What makes him think he knows how to get this done? He has no managerial experience whatsoever. And if you're going to set artificial rates for what people would pay for this housing, or just add it to the city's already massive budget for what is essentially welfare housing, the projects, you're going to blow a giant hole through the city budget. You're going to have to raise taxes on people and cause even more people to leave, and it creates this vortex of destruction. And how people can't see that is enraging, honestly, at this point. How any New Yorker, there's some people who, if they tell me they're going to vote for the Megyn, I say, All right, I disagree, but like I get it. You're like so into being, I don't know, pro-choice, or you're so opposed to the Republican foreign policy. I disagree with you, but I don't think you're insane. Voting for Mamdani is insane. It's going to make it worse for everybody. It actually would make it worse for all the residents of New York City. There will be no
I really hope
benefit
people
from this
reconsider.
whatsoever.
Now that this has happened, I really hope they take this as the reminder they needed, that safety and security in New York are an absolute essential, or New York doesn't exist in the way that we knew it. Tourism dies. It's a critical industry of New York. That 8 million New Yorkers live there full time, but 20 million New Yorkers, about 22, come in and fill the city on a work day. And that needs to be able to go on without people fearing for their lives. And you take away the cops, you defund the cops in any meaningful way, and it changes. It changes dramatically. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they are moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. And Birch was an advertiser on this show 12 months ago. If you had purchased then, you'd be 40% richer today. Now's the time. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by burying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold so easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold is going to send you a free info kit on gold. Look into it, see if it's right for you. There's no obligation, just useful information to help you make a decision. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.